Right back on the record. Ain't no trouble, Teresa, man. I'm
Ah,
not I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. No trouble, Teresa. Like,
Sorry
I
for
don't want to hear
Jamal's
those.
sorry for
welcome,
I don't want to hear those
aka
words.
the voice. Leave me alone, Sluggy. It's too early in the show
Never.
for you to be giving trouble. Welcome
The
to you,
voice.
Jamal,
thank
the
you.
voice.
Thank you for having me on. Finally getting to join the discussion, the conversation.
Yes,
Really excited
yes, yes.
to
We
be here.
are very honored to have you, Carol and Aishaka, join us tonight. And I want to kick off the show by asking all three of our panelists, maybe starting with you, Jamal. What is culture to you?
Uh, Culture to me
Whoa.
is the way we live. Um, it is our identity. It is what makes us who we are. I think I learned from DJ Simmons, or I use this analogy from him. Uh, People often get confused between what is culture and what is heritage sometimes, and I saw this explanation from him once that heritage is Coco and flying fish, culture is Shafet, and I for me that really started to open my mind on the idea of what culture is, and sometimes how we really need to truly understand what culture is. It is actually who we are as people, what we identify with, what makes us unique as individuals, and that's from a national perspective. Anything that is it has a habitual pattern, and is synonymous with any group of people or an individual. So I think that's
Awesome.
what is culture.
Aishaka, what is culture to you? What does culture mean to you?
I'm not going to use so much words that Jamal used. I will say in one word, culture is life. It's our existence.
Yes. Yes.
It's who we are as a people. Um, so that is what it is for me. When you look around, the way we eat, the way we speak, the way we walk, the way we talk, our behaviors, all these kind of things. That is what culture is. So for me, it is life. It's our existence, the way we exist, the way we behave, or which encompasses everything that Jamal has said so far. So I call it life. Culture is life.
Simple.
Awesome. And now to the lady whose domain, whose forte is culture itself. What is culture to you, Carol?
I'll use even fewer words than Aishaka and say that I would explain culture as the daily expression of our sense of self. Um,
Mm.
so, whatever it means for me to be Barbadian and the way that I express that daily, in the way, as Ashaka and Jamal said, in the way I talk, I walk, I express myself, I celebrate love, I bury my dead, I celebrate marriage, I raise my children, the way I cook, the way I eat what I cook, every single thing, the way I dance, the music I like, the things that I hold dear, the things that I abhor. So the expression of my sense of self, that is our culture. I also agree with Jamal in terms of the difference between culture and heritage, in that I accept that my heritage is all of those things that underpin my identity, that takes me all the way back through my ancestry, but that I relive, I might, and I celebrate and I express, but I may express it in a different way every single day. You
Mm.
might need to know Henry, but my heritage in terms of my love for sweets would be a brown sugar cake or a nut cake. They tell us to eat fruit.
My
Yeah, tell us to eat fruit. So you might have today a fruit salad with strawberries and blueberries. My heritage takes me to a golden apple and some akis. I might even break off a piece of cane. That's my heritage.
Mm.
My culture is how I express
Oh,
that.
you express it.
Awesome.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
You're muted,
You're
Miss
muted, Crystal.
Austin.
Sorry, I was saying that all three of you can go to the head of the
Oh my
class
God.
because those are first class definitions of
Correct.
culture, and a wonderful way for us to open the program this week. And on the topic of first class, Carol, would you like to perhaps share the NCF's report card throughout COVID? What are some of the initiatives that you were still able to push through despite this very threatening pandemic and a persistent pandemic? What are some of the highlights of the NCS work throughout this time that
Um,
we should know about?
I'd have to say what I've been saying all along, but again, I will try to say it succinctly because I acknowledge that there are several panelists. I must say, this is the first program that I've been on where there have been more hosts than there are panelists. Must tell you that. I find this very interesting. But anyhow, um, we have, from the time the pandemic reached Barbados, and we knew that we had to cancel events. We, and by we, I mean the NCF, the ministry, and the government of Barbados, immediately began to find ways that we could support the sector. And as I go along, I will um, try to explain deeper some things. When we say the sector, we don't only mean musicians
Music.
and performing artists, because that's one of the myths.
Yeah.
When we say
Very
musicians and
true.
performing artists, we don't only mean soca artists. We mean all performing artists. When we say artists, we mean everyone in the sector who makes a living either full time or primarily full time from their own creative expression or the support of that creative expression. So we also mean people who run online box offices, we mean service providers, we mean vendors, makeup artists, everyone that
Everyone.
makes a living from across the sector. And so even though Crop Over was canceled, we still sought to support what should I say, festival like activity. So all the way up to Kadooment Day, if you saw the online live stream with DJ Puffy and Marnicle Media out on the road, and they were going to various events. We had DJ Puffy, we had Peter Coppin, we had Black Rose Supreme. They were all in the studio. We supported that. We supported the first ever Junior Soca Monarch competition. This past weekend, we would have provided some level of support to a number of events as well. So even though we did not produce any events, we supported as many events as we could. Then we got the $1 million that the Prime Minister would have announced that she was giving to culture in her wrap up to the budget debate, which was right on the cusp of the pandemic. And we have been very methodically, some may say not quickly enough, but lots of times you really can be methodical and quick at the same time. We have been very methodically trying to spread that money around to as many artists who have been impacted by COVID as possible. Again, I will put in a proviso here. I'm sure there's some artists that are going to say, we've heard it, things like, it's got to fill out so much forms, but that's what you have to do if you want to take yourself seriously and you want to be taken seriously. There's just some basic things that you need to navigate your way through earning this livelihood. You have to have a TANF number. I'd strongly recommend that you register with the National Insurance Scheme. You have to have a bank account. We're dealing with some artists who don't have bank
No
accounts.
medical.
And you've got to be nudging them, to go get a bank account. You're not going to be taken seriously. We've had some artists who've said, I've sent in a project, and you said, well, not quite this time, come back later. And that's because daily we have to make a decision. We've got 3 applications. 2 of these applicants are not working. Since COVID came, they have not worked, which means they have not earned a living since March. You've got another applicant who has what we call a day job. Without apology, we are going to say, look, let's see how we can help these 2 artists, which are not just 2 artists, they're 2 families, 2 parents, 2 children who are probably primary caregivers for their parents, a whole household maybe depending on them. So we've also sought to support them as well. Yes, we'll get to the other one sooner or later if it's a viable project. But those are some of the hard and fast decisions that we've had to make. So we've been doing that as well. We jumped headfirst into the production of digital content. And so we've taken all of our training programs online as well. We are just about wrapping up a massive national community training program, which was based on a very simple concept. We looked at 12 disciplines. We chose some of the best practitioners in those disciplines. So, for example, in visual arts, we had Rasakem, Rasaishi, Omowale Stewart. In basketry, you had Irika Jelani. You really can't want much, there aren't many as good or better than them. In drama, we had Isil Phillips and Cicely Spencer Cross and Winston Farrell, and the list goes on and on. When COVID hit, we were just about ready to do those as live classes at community centers across the island. Very quickly, we had to pull back, hire videographers so we could give some work to them and get those classes online. So very soon, in a matter of weeks, you'll be able to log on to our brand new training platform, ncf.edu.bb, and actually register and see these tutorials. We have Adzo Stewart and Mandy Cummins doing makeup. We have Ziggy Walcott, a Mexican, doing steel pan classes. And I'm very excited to see that because their first set of classes were actually done virtually, where the participants downloaded the Steel Pan app and joined them via Zoom, and they were taught, and then they moved to Queen's Park. So we did that as well. We put out a COVID-19 comic book. We had a student COVID-19 arts competition. So whether it was visual arts or spoken word or film, young people between the ages of, I think it was 5 and 18, were able to put their twist on COVID-19 for prizes. We had that prize given a couple of months ago. I kept getting these calls and these emails from a persistent young man called Sluggy Dan, who was doing something online called Ben's Got Talent. And he persisted and persisted. One thing you can say is that he ain't persistent. And we partnered with him, and that was an amazing journey on Instagram to see young people, lots of whom had never come before a microphone to sing publicly before, actually sing. And some of them sing in original material. And I am the sort of person, if I see something, I always tell my staff, we gotta get a piece of this. We want a piece of this. We gotta get in there. And Sluggy Dan graciously accepted our offer. And I'm hoping, Sluggy Dan, that we'll be very, very quickly moving on to part 2 of that, because that was an amazing grassroots project. So we've done a lot of things. We've always done a lot of things. COVID-19 has forced us probably to be a bit more strategic, but I think that out of what looks like a shadow, there's always a little beam of light. And what looks like a rainstorm, as long as that's passed, you always find the rainbow. And that's what we've been looking for in this COVID-19 pandemic, because COVID-19 is here to stay for a while. It doesn't make any sense saying, oh, by November, we can go back to the way we were. There is no going back. And so the challenge for all of us, facilitators like the NCF and agencies like the NCF, and people such as yourself, artists, the challenge now for all of us is to find the best answers to the question, what do we do now to support ourselves? What do we do now to advance culture and heritage? What do we do now to monetize our skills? And y'all have the answers.
So I want to jump on something that you said earlier, where you talked about how some of the artists, they've fallen short in terms of not having themselves together as it relates to their TAMIS numbers, as it relates to having a bank account, and so on.
Get me in trouble.
I just want to ask the question, to what extent
No trouble
are
at
we
all.
really preparing our
No trouble
artists
at all.
to be cognizant of these things? Or is it that we are expecting them that by osmosis and by common sense that these are things that they would know? And is the NCF in any way trying to be a part of that charge to ensure that our artists are more professional in the way how they pursue their craft?
I'm not going to answer that first. We have dealt with quite recently both Jamal and Sluggy. I'm going to turn the question to them and ask them to answer it for you.
Sluggy, Jamal, the floor is either of yours.
Right, and what exactly do you want to know, Crystal? Tell me exactly what you want to know.
To what extent would you
Yes.
say that the NCF has been putting in the groundwork to ensure that the bar is raised among our artists as it pertains to their professionalism?
More specifically, Thomas numbers and bank account.
Okay. Well, for me, for me, my experience gonna be different because not for me, sorry, for what Randy and I do, sorry with our management, but for what we do, like we only work with our youth. So your father and mother on drugs, your father and mother dead, they might be in jail, you on the street, like very label see them on the street at 3 o'clock in the morning and only 9 years old and it's normal. So I just only deal with those children, so it'll be hard. But the NCF also have other people that work in government who guide you through the process fairly easily, like Dwayne Andrew that works at the NCF as well, party management staff. He also takes us through the process as well. And then I know a lot of people say how smart I am, but like really and truly I'm the sharpest tool in the box. So the process for me still be extremely tedious. But I'm sure for persons like Jamal and Sean Lane and Randy Eastman and those extremely intelligent fellas who find it quite easy. But as far as helping, they can honestly say that Mr. Gazette and Andre take me and a couple artists through the process.
And that's what we do every day.
Yeah.
Jamal, I don't know
Yeah,
if you wanted to say
I
something.
think it's
you have
even more
to.
depth than that. There's Ramona, there's Kellyanne. They've always
Hmm.
been a phone call away. They probably get annoyed by
They
you
don't.
calling
Trust me.
sometimes.
They don't. They don't.
um,
They don't.
but I think that the NCF, um, even throughout the years, has always been supportive of the cultural practitioners. What I do like about it, especially, is you have to register as a cultural practitioner in order to access the present grant funding. I think it's important that we start collecting data, and that is one thing that we haven't been doing over the years. Um, I mean, for me, I have a challenge and a concern, and it's not only the NCF's job, in my opinion. When you have entertainers who in the hotel circuit, some who've been performing for years, but they have never really paid NIS. They have never really had the inclination
Yeah.
to even pay insurance or anything like that. You have cases then when they become terminally ill or anything of that. There are challenges with them even being able to pay for their health, their medical treatment, etc. Um, I just personally think that is a direction that we just need to take the conversation now. It is not the responsibility of the NCF alone. Um, I think there are organizations like the Barbados Association of Calypsonians and Artists. There's Cost Gap, even though that doesn't fall under the purview of Cost Gap. But
That is so that
there's several
uh,
organizations that have to play a role in moving the cultural sector forward and ensuring that our cultural practitioners have the correct mechanism is in place to help
Hmm.
them move forward. I think the NCS role is more so from a policy perspective, delivering the policies of the government and ensuring that, hey, there
or
is a
delivering.
framework,
Okay.
yeah, to ensure. I don't know if the CEO wants to correct me there, but yeah,
Well, we follow the policy directives of the ministry and cabinets, but that's
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
We just interpret
Correct.
it. But
Correct.
the reason why I wanted Crystal, the two practitioners that we would have worked with most recently, to answer is that for too long in the environment, I won't say industry because I don't believe it is an industry. In the environment, there has been a lot of misinformation and in lots of cases, a lack of information. And what that does is that it breeds distrust. So the practitioners don't trust the NCF. The practitioners feel that in order to, if you give a TAMIS number, then government will be able to track you and make you pay taxes. And if you register with national insurance, then every year you're gonna. All of those things are myths, and a lot of it is based on fear and misinformation. My position is a very simple one. If this is what you want to do for the rest of your life or for the foreseeable future, there's a certain way to approach it. Talent is not enough. It is not enough to be talented. It is not
True.
enough to have a dream. You have to approach it in a serious manner. By the same token, I get quite annoyed when people ask or people query, well, how much are you paying the artists? How much are you paying the calypsonians? Nobody asks, how much do doctors get paid? Nobody asks, how much do bankers make at the end of the month? Why you want to know what artists are being paid? Why? And why are artists
Why do you have to
themselves
justify it?
buying into it by saying, oh, you pay Jamal more than you pay Ishaka? And you want to know. So there's a whole cloud of mistrust over the sector that really needs to be dispelled. And
Yeah.
Carol, I want to
we've been systematically chipping away at it. So just last week, we had a webinar with the National Insurance Scheme, and they actually came on. They sent two officers that came on, and they answered all of the questions posed by the artists who participated in the webinar. If you didn't get a chance to see it or participate, it's up on our site, so you haven't missed it, which is the beauty of digital content. If you haven't missed it, you can go back on and see it. But I will say this, because the work that I do at the NCF as CEO is possible because of the platform laid by former CEOs. So every CEO will have their own vision. I certainly have my own, but I can't do it by wiping the slate clean and starting fresh. There is a lot of good work that has been done by all of these the past CEOs on which I
Not
am
all.
now attempting to build. All of the
Ever.
past CEOs, you said no bad behavior, no bad behavior. All of the past
Sorry,
CEOs.
I knew you hear that. I knew you hear that. Sorry.
I hear
I
everything.
want to ask a question related to that too as well, Carol.
The NCF, since inception, has also been creating training opportunities and
Yes.
opportunities for members of the sector to interact with experts, and they pay scant regard. Now, just last year on the 30th of October, it was just before Soko Goes Gold, David Rudder, I think his name is Pernell Roberts, Kitchener's son,
Yes, Colonel Roberts, correct.
and some songwriters from Barbados got together through the auspices of the NCF and the producers of Soko Goes Gold to have a songwriting workshop at, is it Marriott? Marriott.
Yes,
Sent
and
out
it was great.
registration, 114 people registered to come. We said, good. On a few little refreshments, put down your 120 chairs. 23 people came. You got all sort of excuses. The Sunday hot. When they get in town, they miss the bus. They went to the bank first and the line did long. They do this. They totally forgot. Oh shoot, they were waiting for a lift, the lift didn't come. You serious? So the
That
artists that avail themselves not only of the knowledge provided by the NCF or the government or even people like Sluggy Dan, but artists, whether visual artists, musical art, culinary artists, literary artists, fashion designers, the artists who are serious and open and expose themselves to constantly refreshing their knowledge base are the artists who do well. Plain and
Very
simple.
true. Carol, I wanted
I
to add.
remember talking to a young man on the radio. I'm not sure if he remembers. This has to be about 4 years ago. He had made it to, was it the semifinals of the Pick of the Crop competition, I think? Or he had this song that I liked that I used to play all the time. And I got his number and I called him up one morning. He spoke glowingly about his grandmother and all the rest and all the rest. young fella. He's sitting right there in that shirt with his doing something pretty. 4 years later,
Like
and
Judamar, yeah, Judamar.
look at how far he has come.
Mm.
I was
And
listening to this, so that sounds like me.
and there's still further to go. Is there a lot for
Yeah.
him to learn? Oh yes, there is. But the fact of the matter is he's not where he was 4 years
4 years
ago.
ago.
Sluggy Dan, shy little fella in the police band, blowing a French
It's true.
horn.
Shy with the
How
script you
much
used
ever
just now.
years ago? Yeah, he was shy.
Sluggy
How
Dan.
much ever years ago? Randy Eastman. Randy
Randy know
Eastman
that
was right there.
Randy used to curse me until the holler sluggy, turn around now. I curse me stink. Well, sluggy, please turn around, look at the crowd now.
It's true.
The
It's true.
same Randy Eastman,
Mm.
who is now a mentor to so many young people,
Oh yes.
was the understudy. You remember that, Randy?
Yes,
The
of course.
understudy in the party
Oh
marathon.
yeah,
Correct.
boy. Oh yes,
Correct.
boy.
Correct. Years
I
ago.
Shaka McNeil, and we can go on and on and on. Cerullo, Chad. I
Oh yeah.
remember meeting him
Julian Warner.
years ago at his school. And I
Mhm.
remember interviewing him for Morning Barbados. They had a costume parade or something. He was either a stilt walker or he had on a landship costume. And I interviewed him and asked him what he wanted to be. He told me he wanted to be a singer. I am old
Okay.
enough to start seeing all these people come through. And the one thing that brings them all together is that they were open and prepared to learn, to fall
Yes.
And
down and to
I'm
get back up.
We have a few
and I'm sure
questions
they will continue to pay it forward. We have a question in
in
the
the chat.
chat.
Yeah, from Rodney Curtin.
Someone asks, what about the technical people who make events happen? Are there any funds available for us?
They probably just joined, but it means that they did not hear when I said that
Yeah,
we were
correct.
also providing support for everyone in the sector. We
Yeah.
provided
Correct.
support for seamstresses, for service providers, for sound men. If you again, but you've got
Register.
to invest just a little time
You gotta
to
register.
go
You have to
online or
register.
to call the NCF to get the information, to fill out the form. You've just got to take that little bit of time and invest in yourself.
Carol,
And once you
you
do that,
said
we're
something
going to
earlier.
walk you through the process. We've had applicants who didn't quite qualify for COVID, but we have other streams of funding. And therefore, we've directed those applicants, because the project was a good one, to those other sources of funding, and they've been successful. But you've got to dispel all of the negative notions that you have of the NCF and of the
Yeah,
ministry
I
that's the
wanna.
word.
and of the sector
No, you
That's the
say
hard
that.
word there.
No, you say that, Carol.
and of this
Well, I have to
that
I want to
say,
ask. I want to
just
ask a
come
question with
forward.
that, Crystal, because earlier you said, Carol,
okay, go ahead, Randy.
the artists and the cultural practitioners need to take things seriously, and I totally agree. First off, I want to commend Barbados and the NCF for what they have done for the cultural practitioners, because I think it's unprecedented. We've said it week after week. You will not find a COVID-19 grant of this format in any other Caribbean territories. It may have been by an entity helping Caribbean territories, but not a country taking on that burden, right? So first of all, commendation to you for that. Additionally, the fact that artists need to take the business side of it seriously is a very important thing, because not only are you accountable to giving them money, because I don't think the NCF can just pick up and say, okay, you hold 5,000, you hold 1,000, you hold, and you don't have any record of where the money went, right? So the only way to do that is if you record it, right? I wanted to know, because you said there's a disconnect, there's a myth out there, and artists are against the NCF. People have this bad notion and what's not. Now that we have people here who may be listening, and because this will be up there, for posterity and for life, can you share with us?
People on radio too.
People on radio, can you share with us so that people understand what the NCF's function and role is, so that they know they can trust you, that they can come to you, that your mandate, your outlook, how has it been what has the mandate of the NCF been initially in its inception, and how has it matured and grown over time, and then your future vision for the NCF going forward as your current role right now?
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm going to be talking long.
that heavy. That one real heavy.
As succinct as you possibly could.
The NCF was established by an act of parliament in 1983.
Mm-hmm.
And its broad mandate was to fuel the development of culture through training, research, and the commercialization of culture.
Yeah.
And it pretty much has remained the same. It is just that that vision has been reinterpreted and reimagined as times have demanded
Mm-hmm.
and as various dispensations have interpreted it.
Mm-hmm.
Along the way, we also took on, as you know, the responsibility for producing all national events,
Mm-hmm.
Crop Over and NIFCA. So we've done royal visits. We just did the state funeral
Mm-hmm.
along with the BDF and Cabinet Office. We have done Rihanna when she won the Grammy and came home. We did that. Before that, when she launched an album, she launched it here. We did that. We did the Errol Barrow Centenary Concert. Ashaka, you were at that, if I recall.
Yes.
We were
Yep.
doing all of the regathering national events. And then we know of the various iterations of Crop Over and NIFCA.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, we added the business development component, which was a department specifically dedicated to allowing practitioners and guiding them towards monetizing their craft. That has evolved when it left the NCF and went to the ministry
Commission.
proper as
Right.
BESIDA.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the merger of BESIDA and the NCF, it came back to the NCF. During that time, there would have been the enactment of the Cultural Industries Act, which makes very clear and specific provisions for the development and monetizing of cultural industries. We would have, I went there in 2018, and we would have begun very strategically to look at various disciplines and how we were going to help the people in those sectors, because we would have done a mapping and we would have said, okay, music will always come to the fore because music has a platform in Crop Over. We know we want to take it outside of Crop Over and make it year round, but at least they have a platform. Fashion, we need to pay a lot more attention to. Gaming and animation is taking the world by storm. We cannot be left behind, so we've got to look at that. We have a very rich and thriving literary arts tradition.
Oh yes.
A lot of great literary artists producing good work, so we need to look there as well. Culinary arts, we don't have a desk specific to culinary arts, but there's so much that we can do. And so we had our plan. We made provision for how we were going to get these programs rolled out and the estimates and everything. March 31st came, brugga down, COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Like everybody else, like I'm sure you had to do, go back to the table
Yeah.
and look at it. And how are you gonna? I've been using this word a lot. How are you gonna reimagine
Mm-hmm.
what you had originally proposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we're at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Very soon, we've got to sit back down again and begin to look at what is Crop Over under COVID, post COVID
Post COVID.
gonna be
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
What is NIFCA gonna be like? Just as critically, what do people want?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things, and I've said this on every single platform like this that I've been on since COVID-19,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm hoping that COVID-19 would have shown the world is that the arts and culture are critical to every way of life.
Of life. Yeah.
So the Ministry of Health would have said, this is what you do when you are practicing social distancing and physical distancing, and they'd have given all of the distance in meters and feet and da 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 da. If Lil Rick, Peter Ram, Jamal Slocum, Ashaka McNeil, or a visual artist or whatever, don't put that into their language,
Mm-hmm.
very few people following
We'll
that
follow it. Very true.
because it's just not resonating with them.
Mm-hmm.
It has to come out a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
After you've been locked down for weeks and weeks and months and you're climbing the walls, one of the few things that will bring you down is the beauty of art. A wonderful painting, a sweet piece of music, some mummy's food cooked just right, reading a good book. You're right back up in the arts and culture again.
Yeah.
And then when you do decide that you want to come out, what do you want to come out and do?
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, for a lot of people, they will want to come out and go to church, but that's culture too.
Yeah.
But you will not want to come out and go back to school
Mm-hmm.
I know my son surely did not. You're going to want to come out and engage in something that allows you to express yourself and see other people expressing themselves in a positive way. And how do they do that? You want to go to a play. You want to go to a little jump up.
Yeah.
You want to line by a bar and play some dominoes and talk some that word. You want to go up to ballpark and see a good concert. You
Yeah.
want to walk through town. You want to lime in Nelson Street or Baxter's Road. Back
Culture.
up in
You,
arts and
you
culture
want to take part in culture.
again.
Yeah.
If things are getting too tough and you're absolutely frustrated, you will paint, you will write, you will sing. Arts and culture again. So I really hope that the world, and specifically for us, Barbados, understands the very critical role that the arts and culture play in our daily lives and the absolute importance of respecting artists and artistes and artisans.
Thank.
Amazon ain't shipping in a hurry.
Mm.
So if you want a frock quick, you better look to the local fashion industry.
You got Sean Lane here. He's a hold the
Quick,
crochet. Hold
quick,
the crochet, Sean. You
quick.
know you got one day in your hand. Hold the crochet that Auntie Carol says.
Selfish plug, Sean.
Hold the
No, I'm
crochet.
serious.
You can imagine that man crocheting,
You know,
Carol. Look. Really good too.
fabulous.
Yeah.
And why haven't we had a conversation
Amazing.
before, Sean Lane? Because you got something there. Again,
And he's
and
doing
in typical NCF fashion, we want a piece of that.
he's doing international
There are
shipping. I can sell
there are
you.
things that we can do together.
He's shipping
What it has
internationally.
also forced us to do now that you mentioned shipping
Mm.
is that, and this is where the NCF has to step up to the plate, is to try to create those revenue streams that allow the practitioners, the creatives to earn a living because the capacity in Barbados is just not enough
No, he
for every single practitioner to earn a living. So how can we sell our goods and services abroad from producing them right here, but also be able to get that money in and in a timely fashion so that people can literally eat a food, as my good friend Peter Ram would say. And the challenge for the artists, and we are very much prepared to help them, is for the artists and the artists themselves to ask themselves, do I want to stay where I am? So Jamal Slocum, do you want now to sing reggae because you think reggae will take you into Europe and Africa? I'm just hypothesizing. You know, Ishaka, do you want to write that play that's been in your throat, in your craw all this time and see what's going to happen? Do you want to get a group of people together and do an impromptu something? You want to revive food? Crystal, what do you want to do? Did you have this fashion line in your head all the time, but you said, well, I really know fashion designer, or I ain't study it. Do you want to hook up with one and do it now? Now is the time to do it. Now is the time to do it. There's nothing stopping you. You know why? Because you ain't got tomorrow put down.
Yeah.
Before COVID, you were saying, oh, when May come, I can release my song. I was saying, okay, I got to start my festival meetings because you got to do that. Got to get these budgets saying, got to sit down on the staff, whatever. COVID-19 hit, everything came to a dead halt. Did we die? No. Did we stop work? No. So now is the time to get it done.
Get it moving. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I want to bring Aishaka into the discussion. Talk to me about your experience during COVID as a thespian, as a singer. What is next up for you, and anything else that you have in your heart that you want to share with us?
Attitude.
I said thespian.
Yes, that's thespian.
Thespian.
Well, I hear you.
I'm the grammarian, remember?
You know you speak very great, so you gotta listen again.
Well, I've listened to everything that the CEO has said. I just want to say that it has been rough for many artists. Lucky enough for me, I have a day job to go to. But for those who are
lucky,
because there were some people who were sent home who still have.
Oh, you mean you understand? You understand?
And I have to talk from that perspective. So
yes.
You know, as an artist, it was kind of hard because, like, take for instance, Laugh It Off. We were running. The season was running. And we had to keep short. Then there were other events that I was booked for outside of Laugh It Off. Those events were postponed and canceled. I was preparing to do a major musical in December. we were unable to meet and carry on to do that. So things have happened that have caused us to sit down and reflect as artists, as persons in the workforce, on our daily lives. Whoever expected that something like this would have come and shaken up everything? I was looking forward to crop over. I had a social commentary that I know that would have rocked the country
Oh
after
dear.
last year, coming back into the fold and getting my feet wet, you know, and so it kind of set us back, maybe I would say maybe 2, 3, 4 years, because at the end of the day, people were looking forward to being a part of the cultural activities that were supposed to happen, and that never happened.
Yeah.
For me personally, as I said before, lucky enough for me, I had a day job to go to. But in retrospect, a lot of the artists who were doing it on a full time basis have suffered. I have to use the word suffered,
Badly,
um,
badly.
badly, and it it kind of hurt as well, because you hear persons talk to you, say, man, I haven't worked in this going 9 months now. Some people haven't worked in
Yes.
6 months. People have to feed their families, they still have to pay the mortgages, they have to pay the car payments, all these kind of things. But thankfully, I don't really want to commend the government of Barbados and the National Cultural Foundation for finding ways to make sure that these artists are comfortable and finding avenues that they can still express their art and their culture. And I really want to commend you all, because some of the things that I saw that were going viral and stuff, I think it was wonderful work. Some great stuff was happening, and I was happy to see that persons were still able to find an avenue where they can express themselves. Um, I just want to say though, going forward, we have to look at finding other avenues. This is the new normal, and finding other avenues that would generate income for artists. Um, Everybody
Agreed.
is not going to um, what we say technologically inclined to do what some person might be able to do. So we still have to look at those avenues and still find small and interesting ways where persons can still
Hmm.
go outside and make that that the money that they think they can make from their art, from their craft, from their culture, whatever the case is.
Hmm.
I think one of the problems that we face as artists, that people don't sit down and come together. You always want to talk, say, man, we can do this together, we can do that together, this can happen, that can happen. But then somebody say, man, I got wrong, he feel he know more on this body, or he feel more, and there's no cohesion. That's why you always say that Barbados has a music scene and not an industry. If we had an industry, people would have gelled together, come together, be cohesion, and everybody would be on the same wavelength, the same page, and we'd be able to do so much more. So much
Yeah,
more. I think
you'd
sometimes
be
too,
you'd be forced to.
yeah, and I can say this openly. A lot of people depend on the NCF to get them where to set them as artists. You should not do that. You should not do. The NCF is there as a guide, as a developmental organization who's there to help create a platform for persons to find ways and means of being able to establish yourself. So it can't really depend on government to do everything either, but they took the initiative to make sure that y'all were comfortable, that y'all are comfortable, and it's something that they have done. I agree, Randy. That is unprecedented. I've never seen or heard anything like this before. As I said, I want to commend the government of Barbados, the National Cultural Foundation, for doing that. And as the future comes into play, and as 2021 steps in, as this dreaded year 2020 is about to go, we have to find some very creative and interesting and intriguing ways
For
to really
sure.
bring back persons to come and support artists too as well. It's not just going on the stage and singing a song and saying, yes, Barbadians want to go and party. But we have to do things that will jump out at you, say, oh my gosh, yes, this is something new, something exciting, something that can happen, and I think we have to sit down as big people and work out what we need to do in terms of going forward. I also want to just touch a bit on commending the government as well, and all the players who have come up with the idea of having Jackie Opal Day. I think that's one of the most beautiful things that has taken place. Um, when I heard about it, I became so excited. I tell myself, let me not catch a heart attack, you know. But it was long in coming. Jackie Opal was a phenomenal entertainer. He did a lot for Barbados, and I really want to commend all the stakeholders and all the players who put that into focus and made sure that Barbados would now have a sense of who this man really was. Because I think we missed the point. We so ever often do not support our own, and we have some amazing talents, and I say talents in Barbados, and and sometimes they go unnoticed. And it's good now that the National Culture Foundation and all those other persons who are
The
involved in
ministry,
making sure that,
that's
and the
for
ministry
sure a
and
military
so the
initiative
ministry, yeah.
led by the
Thank you
minister.
very much. Yeah, thank you very much. And you know, going out there to make sure that his name become recognizable to the young people of this nation, so that they understand his contribution that he would have made to this country and to the Caribbean on a wider scale. Um, so it's little things like that that we are seeing that are happening, and people are now they just want to find things to do, but we have to be creative in terms of in doing them and making sure that persons see the reason why they have to be done the way they have to be done. We still have to take in consideration protocols and all these different things. So it's not just a matter coming, oh, we're having a big ram, a big jam, and everybody come out and be mingling, and then our COVID cases go up. We have to find strategic ways of doing things, and they're interesting ways of doing things. I saw Jamal is working on the premiere of the Jackie Opal Spooge concert and stuff, and I think that's a beautiful initiative. I look forward to seeing that process
We supported
come
the
into
NCF.
fruition. Yes, supported by the NCF. Wonderful, wonderful. And I'm looking forward to things like that. I've seen some other persons done some wonderful things. I saw there was this junior soccer monarch competition, which was held for the first time. I think that was a beautiful initiative as well. And
Yeah.
then you have some little things happening. I think Trinidad 10 TV was responsible for a lot of stuff, and along with some other stakeholders and players. You had Spooge in the Village. You had some other little concerts happening. So there were persons who were finding creative ways of putting entertainment out there, putting art and culture out there, so it could be noticed. And so the Barbados had something to enjoy during COVID period. I think those are some great initiatives. Um, but going into the future, we have to ask artists and CEO. I just want to just go back on this a bit. I want to agree with you 150%. We need to be professional as artists if we want to be taken seriously. We need to be professional as artists. If we're not professional as artists, nobody's going to take us seriously. Because you could sing a song good, or because you could dance, or because you could paint, or you could basketry, or you could speak well, or you could write, you
Or
still need to be
crochet.
professional. You still need to or crochet or crochet. You need to be professional. And the initiatives by the National Culture Foundation, along with the ministry as well, in terms of persons registering as cultural practitioners, I think is a wonderful initiative. It helps you to understand the business side and help you to understand some of the streams and the ways that you can get into in terms of being a business person, you know. And the ACF has done so many things. I remember going to a MC workshop. I
Yeah.
mean, almost 6, 7 years ago, and that was interesting. You had a number of persons who were young MCs, the likes of Jamari Star. I think it was one of the facilitators. You had
Yep.
Margaret Almond who was there. So there are many things that the ACF done on the developmental level that persons can access. But one of the main things is that we hear these things, we don't appreciate them, we don't go to them, and then we say, oh man, the NCF ain't giving the work, man, or the NCF this, the NCF that. But the NCF is always providing avenues and
Well,
streams. And
Yeah.
I, I,
And that
I
and
want,
that
I
can
want
happen. You can't start that.
right,
That can happen that too.
exactly.
yeah,
I want to
yeah,
come in there when you talk about because we hear this all the time, even from people with whom we're actually working. Oh, I want to give you money to the same people all the time. Oh, you keep doing the same, you keep using the same people all the time. And my response to that is you can only comment on what you know. So, for example, you see Ishaka, Randy, Sluggy Dan, Crystal, Sean, um, Jamal perform at
Mm.
concert A. You're like, oh, the same old people, the same old people, because that's what you see and what you know. What you don't know is that we're also sending artists to exhibitions in Cuba, and we have an online visual art, and I'm just these are just hypothetical things, online visual art catalog that's in all the embassies, and that we are assisting somebody who is going off to study music someplace else through the Arts and Sports Fund. So there are always things happening. You not knowing
Yeah,
does
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
mean
It is
it
not happening.
is
So
not
Very true.
happening. But I
let me
will
put on
also
my
say,
marketing hat
but
and
but
ask
but
Carol, do you
before you
think
go
that is the
there,
case? Sorry, go
but
ahead.
right before you go there, I will also say this. I make no apology for this. You are showcasing the best of Barbados. So there's an opportunity, and you're saying, well, we got to put our best foot forward. in any country, in anywhere in the world, and you say, send me your best artists, you can almost close your eyes if you're familiar with the artists in that country and you can come up with a short list. Is that not
Yeah,
so?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that not so? So
Yes,
if
yeah.
you're doing, for
You're correct. In
example,
every country, the
you know,
best known.
right. So if you're doing an activity that says we want to see the best up and coming young artists, and you know where to go and look for them. But that does
God
not
kind
mean
of,
that that is all the
God kind of
foundation
like
is
me.
doing with artists.
Yeah.
So,
Can
Carol,
we do more? Of course.
can you tell those listening where they can get information on all the things that the NCF is doing? What's the best place that they should
The
NCF,
go to?
website
ncf.bb.
.bb.
If you are, if you go on websites, call the NCF, call the NCF, and somebody there will be able to guide you. Pay us a visit. We're open from 8:30 to 4:30. Those are our office hours. Somebody will help you. Ask a friend. Read a
You're on social
newspaper.
media as well?
Yep.
Of course,
Instagram.
we are on social
I'm
media.
not asking, I was saying you are.
Yeah,
Mm.
we are on social
Well,
media as well.
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Listen to GIS programs. I mean, talk to people. So you see Ishak on this program, and you meet him tomorrow morning and say, but oh, he's really taught to get through to the NCF because
Yeah.
I listened to it
yeah.
last night. They didn't really pay me. See you on the mind. So tell me, you tell me. People will tell you.
Wait, let me jump in here. Being involved in so many different areas and culture, um, the NCF is in everything cultural,
Everything.
and I have benefited from as early as age
3.
9,
Yeah.
Wow.
from NCF, because I joined youth orchestra when I was 9 years old,
Sweet.
and that comes under the purview of NCF.
Yes.
Also, what people might not know, Carol, you said that the information is there online, but I think there's so many things that the NCF does that you can't even keep up.
You can't keep up.
Because we look at the youth orchestra. Who knows about the youth orchestra? Who may have seen them, but what they don't know is that they have workshops facilitated by the NCF almost every summer.
Yeah.
I was a beneficiary of a 2-week summer camp to North Dakota to the International
Yeah.
Music Camp.
International Music Camp. Yep.
Yes, and it was me and another. It was 2 persons every year for a good few years,
Yes.
and it stopped,
Two
and then it
students every year.
continued.
That's right.
Yeah, and these are things that is not known, as you said. Like people only
Yeah.
see the popular things, but there's so many things. I mean, sometimes a person might have a little small event, and you would see an NCF tent.
Yeah.
Right.
Schools.
Like
School
it,
concerts.
And
it,
chances are it's a donated
It's a
tender.
donated tent.
exactly.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
call and you say, well,
In most
listen,
cases.
we got something going on at school. We want to
Sean,
showcase. Yes.
I could vouch for that because even when I was at Parkinson, you would call, you say, "Hey, I need a tent, I need a stage," and
Yes.
it's always yes, and the next day, everything their teachers like, "Oh, you always get so that's what the NCF does,"
watch,
Yeah.
watch.
No,
No
no,
way,
Randy,
Randy.
no,
And
no, don't publicize that we give
No,
away
no,
our
sir.
And the
That
other
is
thing
true.
is that I know
Randy,
that
you
there are
especially
people,
should know better.
there are people
I
that
didn't say
do not
give away,
mind
though.
listening on and
I did
saying
not
and
say
stressing
give
and
away.
saying there's a whole NCF love fest, man. I want some action.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
It's
it
just
isn't.
like sounding too good. The NCF is just sounding too good.
No, but
Here-
it's a
here's
case
what
of making
here's
people
what they're
aware
gonna.
of what actually happens, and that is the truth, NCF, as Sean said, is in everything. And if you actually go how to peruse the NCF website and you see the content that's on there, and among the things that they do,
Mhm.
even at the ministry, we had a meeting with officers of the NCF, and they brought some books, educational books, things that I didn't even know existed, and I was like, NCF did this, and as much relation I have with the NCF, I did not even
I
know
get
that
this from
existed.
I get this from your aunts, yeah.
So much content and stuff, and the Ministry of
Yeah.
Education was very interested in it,
I
It's
get
a
this here
lot.
from your aunts, yeah,
And
So
Randy.
we
we're
just
That's
need to
actually
seek the information.
Right.
Yeah,
We're
I
actually
know that book.
moving to strengthen our relationship with the Ministry of Education,
Oh yeah.
with the University of the West Indies, because we are also saying to these institutions that you use text every year,
Mhm.
either academic text, or novels for the teaching of literature. And we've got
Mm-hmm.
novels here that could be part of your
Of your
curriculum.
yeah.
We've
Yeah,
got
yeah, true.
dances here. We've got pieces of music here, musical works here. We've got visual works of art here. That when you are teaching these subjects, we can be the conduit between you and the creative.
I'm actually glad you said that, because that was one of the questions I had for you for the show in terms of that vital intersection between culture and education, especially. Do you have a strong enough seat, would you say, in terms of when those discussions are happening and they're setting the curriculum and choosing the books? Is the NCF able to put a voice? Sorry, my daughter's trying to
Thank
be
you,
on the
little girl,
show.
Go
for this,
ahead.
and then
Listen to you,
it
little
back
girl.
to me.
Listen to your
Yeah,
daughter, man. Listen to your daughter.
she wants to say hi to everyone, and she's
Hi.
painted her face.
Hello.
Hello.
Say
Hello.
hi.
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 Hello.
Hi.
I can't see you.
Say hi.
How old are
Hi.
you?
How old are you, Pumpkin? She's 3.
3.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of having a seat at the table when these important discussions are happening, because, the legends of Greece and Rome and these things,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, we could take those off the curriculum. I don't know if we still have them, the silver sword and these things. Is
Animal
it
Farm.
possible that in this Iowa where we are talking about banishing the 11 plus, can we look forward to the NCF having a strong influence in really designing the curriculum so that you get more Kamal Brathwaite books into the
Yeah,
curriculum?
yeah, Winston Farrell.
I
Yeah, yeah, Stefan
certainly,
Walker.
I can certainly say that that process has started. Those conversations, Randy
Sweet.
can attest to them,
Yes, definitely.
have started.
Definitely.
We've had very meaningful discussions with the University of the West Indies, and we're
Yep.
going around the country
Fantastic.
having discussions with agencies to say the same thing I said in my opening spiel. Look, wherever you turn, however you look at it, if you're talking
Cultures
about
apart.
healthy eating in the Ministry of Health, if you're talking about the Kitchen Garden Project in the Ministry of Agriculture, if you're talking about the authentic Barbados brand in the Ministry of Tourism, if you're talking about taking back vulnerable communities in the Ministry of Youth and Community Development, there is a role for culture. And once there's a role for culture, there's a role for the Ministry of Culture and its arm, the NCF. We are not afraid and we're not backing down, as I tell you. What the Mo say, we down there with them.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
mentioned
think
you mentioned in a media interview recently that culture is an antidote, and I want to touch on that. And you guys know I'm very passionate about culture as an antidote, especially to youth and delinquency. But I want to bring Jamal in at this point in time because I thought we had a wonderful segue earlier when Aishaka was talking about the Jackie Opal show, and certainly a lot of people know that there's a reason for us to pay tribute and homage to Jackie Opal, but I don't know if a lot of people really know his backstory. Like the fact that when he was in Jamaica doing background vocals was the Wailers doing background vocals for Jackie Opal. A lot of people don't seem to know that he's written over 700 songs, and not just in spooge. He wrote songs in gospel, in soul, calypso,
Sit down,
uh,
servant.
rock
Yeah.
steady, ska. As a matter of fact, he was one of the persons who was responsible for the creation of ska, and it's unfortunate that you know people people would say it's unfortunate that it's taken us such a long time to really put him on the pedestal that he ought to have been placed on as a prodigy and as a genius in terms of his musicality and how he would have influenced Caribbean music, especially at a time where um, European influences in music. I mean, we're talking pre-independent, so the musical influences at the time were very strong European influences, and he came and brought this crossover between, I suppose it was calypso and R&B, and created these new genres. And here we have young Jamal leading the charge in a tribute, and it's so timely because now we have Jackie Opal Day, August 27th. Going forward, we will be celebrating Jackie Opal Day. So Jamal, talk to me about your upcoming show. I see you're working with Marlon Legault, is it?
Yeah. When you said putting him on a pedestal, at first I thought you were gonna say to put it where Nelson's statue is. But
How you
that
That'd
get
be a great thing.
how did you
That'd
infer
be
that
wonderful. That'd
from?
be
Come
fantastic.
on, Jamal.
I
How you
really
got
thought
that?
that was the direction you were going.
Look,
I'm the
Sean,
barbarian there, so
Sean,
it was just a figure of
Jamal,
speech.
Jamal wanted to mention that
Yes, I feel so.
he cannot
I
get
feel
that from
so.
what Crystal said. He just wicked.
But
But I do agree we could push down Nelson and put Jackie there.
oh,
I agree.
I didn't say that. I
I don't
didn't say
agree with the
that
push
far.
down. Not the push down.
I
Take down,
didn't
man.
say
Not,
that far.
not push down.
That's a
Remove.
whole
This is
other
this
conversation
is
that I hope we get to before we finish.
this is Sluggy. This is Sluggy speaking. Kevin Watson that saying this, and they don't want no agreement. We can push down Nelson.
We gotta get to that later. We gotta get to that later.
Go
For me
ahead,
though,
Jamal.
for me, I think, and just to touch on one of the points that you made earlier, I think that we're not teaching our culture or heritage in schools enough. Um, I think that, and that leads to a whole different conversation. I mean, we have all teachers here in some form in terms of education reform, especially so that our young are from primary at the primary level, um, they understand some of the backgrounds to the folk music. They understand what led us to Rihanna, who brought us to this point. For me, I am an old soul. I have always been, and I have always been a fan of Jackie Opal's music. And when I reached out to Aja in mid July and said, Aja, you started something 2 years ago called Jackie Opal Day. I said, I think that we need to hop back on this train, get it promoting again. Let's get it active. Aja was at the time very busy with the Rock Hall Freedom Village, being not only a producer himself, but obviously that is it holds a lot of sentimental value for Aja growing up in Rock Hall itself. So I said
Correct.
to Aja, hey, I am willing to take the lead. I'm going to call the radio stations, call CBC, call the media houses. Everyone was extremely receptive. I would say special thanks to Ronnie Clark as well. Um, from the morning on VOB, um, we had Kashi doing interviews. We had uh, VOB in the afternoon. Hot 95.3 was playing Jackie Opal's music on August 27. But sometime in July, I picked up the phone and I reached out to Minister King as well. And he just took it from there. He said, this is an excellent idea. This is something that needs to be done. I know the initial aim was to have it for 2020, but given everything that's happening in the current climate, it would have made much sense to have to start the celebration from this year as well. So that was totally understandable. But we had the unveiling of a impression by Von Hall at Jackie's grave. Special thanks to Ken Jones and his family from the Clyde B. Jones funeral home and the team there, as well as Costco would have originally done the original makeover of the grave. But where I am at now is that I recorded a very, very special tribute, remaking all of Jackie's songs. Well, not all of them, but making over some of Jackie's familiar songs like Forever, having Chris Irie, who is one of, I think, on the cuff of international success.
Kristen
Um,
Walker.
yeah, amazing singer. She's been out there promoting Barbadian culture and our music, especially especially to a very unique niche market. There's Nikita performing as well. Performing Sir Richard Stout. I knight him even before he has received the honor.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we gave him a night head on the
yes.
show.
We
So we
loan. Yes, correct, correct.
long
We give it that
overdue.
loan. Correct, correct. Go ahead, buddy.
But for me, it was really an opportunity to see. I saw this COVID-19 grant that came through that the Prime Minister announced, and I said, "Hey, this is the opportunity to do this. This is the opportunity." In my mind, I said, "Okay, I got to play to SCF," but the time was so short. Um, Four together said, "Hey, you need to register, register, register. Everyone needs to register." But I was successful with the grant process, and we are now in the final stages of getting the process completed. We still have a few more interviews that we want to pull together to make the production what it really ought to be. A concert, a mega concert, and a virtual mega concert and a TV special. Ishaka is still to be involved as a person, having that background, that strong connection with Jackie Opal. We have persons like Mark Williams, persons like Al Jilks, that had that relationship with Jackie. I thought I knew a lot about Jackie Opal. I am going to be totally honest with you. I thought I knew, when I started this project, I thought I was the aficionado of the Jackie Opal story. Until I got the rude awakening from Mark Williams, who gave me so much background on the life of Jackie Opal. Even special thanks to my team in Jamaica, who connected me as well with this lady, Doreen Schaefer, who recorded a duet with the Queen of Ska, recorded duet with Jackie Opal. And I mean, even to get that background of understanding of who Jackie was as a person, it really is an eye-opener. Crystal would have mentioned that, that performing with the Wailers, many people don't know on three of Jackie's tracks, and including here, Remango, the Wailers backed Jackie Opal. Bob Marley was playing in that band.
Yeah,
But
correct.
Bob Marley was
Yeah.
playing in that band, backing Jackie Opal. And even to get the insight that, hey, Jackie was the hottest thing in Jamaica at one point. The only problem that he had is that Jamaicans loved themselves so much that they didn't want this guy from Barbados to come
Correct.
and outshine the Jamaicans, recording artists, the performers in Jamaica, because he would jump up on the wall, he would jump from the stage onto the bottom tier, and it was unbelievable the way he performed, the way he sang, his understanding of music. There's one story that he even took the saxophone from one of the musicians in the band and played exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, correct. I could get the
That was
choir
done on
player.
many occasions. On
Yeah,
many
Yeah.
occasions
Gabby.
that was done.
Gabby told me a lot of those stories
So
because there aren't much entertainers. There aren't much entertainers alive that was happening in Jackie's time, because
yeah,
Martin Jackie died about 50 years ago.
yeah, 50 years ago,
Right.
because he died in
Yeah,
1970 March
so you will
1970.
have
But please
so you,
don't say they were not happening. Don't say they were not happening. Please don't say they were not happening, because there were many Barbadian entertainers who worked along with Jackie as well.
no, you don't hear what you don't hear what you don't hear what I say. You don't hear what I say, buddy.
What you said? What you said just now?
I said there aren't much entertainers alive now
Okay.
that were
So,
men in Jackie Opal's time that was happening, because Jackie died 50 years ago. So you will have to be at least 70 to be a man performing. Because don't forget he died.
My
He
mother had
died
many
50 years ago, Shaka. 50.
understand that.
You and I, we are old. Jamal was, we are far older than Jamal, and we are not even 40. So you got to remember what I'm speaking about. Like Gabby's about 73. So Gabby would have been only 23.
you
very
have to talk
gay.
about the likes of
Sluggy, your
when you
point
have
is
this.
well made, but I want you to share that little tidbit you were going to share by Shaka about some of the Bajans that work with Jackie Opal, because I feel like we need to move past saying Jackie was fantastic and actually give the nuances and the details.
Okay. Let's backtrack a bit. I raised up in the New Orleans area for quite a number of years, yeah, and I spent my time speaking to a lot of you guys. There was an old man by the name of Kippins, a shop in New Orleans, an old man named Kippins. And Kippins, many of the guys used to line by Kippins shop. You had the likes of um Mid Springer, you had persons like Bandit, you had Angel Hubert Grant, which you start would come down. David Hunt would come down. Charles Odell, who is the grandfather of Marsville, was one of the persons who died in the Opels. So you had numerous men who would have been at that level and ilk. And in order for you to perform with Jackie Opal, you had to be at a certain standard. The late great Clarence Thompson. Yeah, these are men who walk next to Jackie, who side next to Jackie, and there's something I want to say though before I go on. The bath where they would have rehearsed is a place where a monument should be laid in this country for Barbadians. I like to come and see where it all happened. There's a police post there in New Orleans, right by the Westbury Pastor, and that was the place where they spent most of their time rehearsing, cussing out one another, whatever the case is, but they always got it right. Gabby was a young man coming up when Jackie was around, so there were a number of persons in the city area who would have benefited from Jackie's experience, from his knowledge, and those are the type of men
also,
that I feel that.
Well, I was gonna say that the funny thing is that you talk about city area, Jackie, Richard Stout, and Gabby all went to St. Mary's Primary.
Correct, very
They
much
all
so.
went to the same primary school.
And these are persons that I just call who would have played an integral role in terms of laying the foundation in terms of music and what we know about music in Barbados. Jackie was phenomenal. But I always tell people, we always hear how great Jackie was as an entertainer. And I used to always ask the question, why was it that Jackie was not recognized like others have been recognized long before? We don't want to hear the dark stories because there are many dark stories. I will not say on in this forum, but I think that may be one of the reasons why Jackie was never celebrated from a societal point of view, because of maybe some of the dark side and dark stories. Jackie used to live in Vauxhall at one point, Sean, right? He used to reside in Vauxhall at one point, and there's stories that would shock you when Jackie used to live in Vauxhall, right? And I always tell people, I am the type of person when I used to listen to Spooge and start falling in love with Spooge, I had to understand who created it, why it was created, and what it was created for. And I also used to ask the question, why did it die? And many people never used to give me the correct answer. I didn't come up with the answer for myself. When you look around with Jamaica, the language associated with Jamaican music, the dress associated with Jamaican music, the dances associated with Jamaican music, I mean, the culture, the behavior, there was not that in a sense when it came to Spooge music. Jackie knew what he wanted, but it was never experienced the way it was supposed to be experienced or experimented.
It was looked down upon too. That and Richard,
that kind of thing.
When you speak to me with boys like Shaka, they will hurt your heart because Jackie said when the guys sing reggae and ska, them live the life, so smoke marijuana, lay on the block, like a lot of women, play football, and you will even see Bob Marley living. You will see Bob Marley smoking and playing football. You could go up on YouTube now and see Bob Marley playing football right now. So when Jackie come back, if the culture here was drinking rum, getting the can, rum and breaking can. But in Barbados, if you drinking rum and like drinking rum and breaking people can, I think that was looked down upon in Barbados.
But I will want to come in here though, Sluggy, and caution you a bit, because we started off with the definition of culture. And in every culture, in lots of instances, the practices that are looked down upon still thrive. And what it requires for them to thrive is enough people to actually engage in the practice. That's when when we talk about, oh, how are we going to get rid of bashment? Before that, when I was growing up, banja and all the rest, nothing you could do about it.
Yeah. True.
Because there is more than enough people that are going to practice it. They're either going to hide and practice it, they're going to practice it on certain days, and then eventually, if you go back through history, as soon as established and revered institutions such as the church and schools and certain entertainment establishments, as soon as they take it on board, they what I call legitimize it, and then eventually it becomes mainstream. I hear you, like you say, you're under 40. I'm not sure I believe you, but I'm 56. I say,
I think we all are, Carol.
and I know when I was growing up,
Everybody under 40.
Steel
Everyone.
band. Well, then I am too. Steel band in
You're
church
20.
was frowned upon. When I was a little girl, going to Sunday school at Vauxhall, because I grew up in Vauxhall for a while as well, and then at St. Ambrose, didn't have steel pan. The mere thought of steel pan would send shiver, make the old church ladies clutch their pearls. But I also lived to see steel pan enter schools. I think from High School Foundation was one of the first secondary schools to have its own steel pan site. It was brought there by a geography and arts teacher called Mrs. Pilgrim, and then it got into church, and then it became more mainstream and all the rest. Remember when gospel music did not have a tinge of calypso in it?
Correct. Yes.
Along came a man named Joseph
Or reggae,
Morris.
for that matter.
Yep, selling records out of the back of his car. He was a conductor, a transport board conductor. They used to call him the singing conductor, and that got into church. Then you had the Nazarene Silvertones, Sister Marshall, Promise, and all the rest, and that gave it some legitimacy. And now it's almost like an accepted thing. So I don't necessarily agree that because a practice is frowned upon, that it won't thrive. Look at bashment right now. There are a lot of people. When I was on the radio, because I like a piece of bashment.
Just an interjection, guys. David A. Weatherhead would have posted a message in a watch party I put up saying that the late Dr. Elizabeth Watson did her doctoral thesis on Jackie Opel.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
And that's actually a public document that is available.
Correct.
Also, during the last Carrie Fetster, she actually did a presentation on Jackie Opel at the University of the West Indies.
It's a public document available where, Carol, in the library? Online?
You should be able to access it at the University of the West Indies in their library. You may not be able to copy it, take it away, or whatnot, but you can certainly access it. Probably in the library. West Indian collection or something like that.
Yeah, she spoke about downloads. She said a Jackie Opel song got downloaded in that year for $12,000.
Yeah, $12,000 US.
She also did some amazing work. She also wrote about Red Plastic Bag. She did that book and discography on Red Plastic Bag, and she also did one on current Minister John King. And it is for creatives to avail themselves of this knowledge. It is not for CBC or the Advocate or the NCF only. It's for people Jamal's age who said that he has an interest in it to go and avail themselves of that knowledge. But it is also equally the responsibility of agencies like the NCF and back at the same CBC and the Advocate and media houses to take the information and put it into a format that people will enjoy. And I'm talking about documentaries. We don't produce anywhere near as many documentaries as we should about people who have made meaningful contributions to Barbados, or people who have gone down in folklore across the country. We don't do anywhere near. When last have we produced a new folk song?
True. Well,
one thing to say is that in this digital age where everything is available on demand and courses and so on are available on demand, I think it's very heartening that you would have pulled all those stalwarts and doyens in to create that type of material, learning material. Could you repeat the URL that the educational information will be available on the training.
Right. That is going to be launched very shortly. Right. Currently, we are testing and populating the platform, and then that is going to go live very shortly. But for everything else, you can go on to ncf.bb. We also have a YouTube channel. You can go on and watch interviews with fishermen, interviews with the Mighty Gabby, interviews with Kamal Brathwaite, the readings by George Lamming and Kamal Brathwaite. You can watch Pick of the Crop finals, the very early Party Monarch competitions going way back when. You can browse the Gallery Hall of Fame where you see a listing of all of the monarchs and the winners, not only in Calypso, but in Masquerade, going back decades. There's a whole lot of information.
Yes.
Awesome.
Right.
I remember Ishaka. I remember Ishaka that we was outside Lonely Hearts Club, right? I think we were about
please.
we were about 1999. So I was about 17. I was about 17 or 16 or whatever. Ishaka.
This is family radio here.
The man no sell Ishaka.
Sluggy, I gotta stop you. I got Sluggy. I must stop you. I am old school. I went to St. Paul's. I count on my fingers. In 1999, you were 17, correct? That's what you just said. That's what you just said. So in 2009, you were 20.
I joined the police band. I joined the police band in 1999 at 17.
At 17, so
you can't join the police band no older than.
Okay, so you are under 40 then, because last year would have been 2019. So you were 38 then.
Ishaka, Sean Lane, Randy Eastman, myself, all of us are around the same age. All of us are around the same age.
That's
I'm probably the oldest, and I'm not
Ishaka, when you make Titana,
I won Titana in 1999.
Correct, I remember.
How old were you? How old were you in 1999?
I was 17 or 18 years old when
I
won
Titana.
Right. Listen,
what songs did you sing, Ishaka?
Wait, that was getting at Sean. That was getting at Ishaka come out on the stop and tell me, listen.
War was no good.
Yeah, Ishaka tell me I singing a Jackie Opel. At the time, you know, all of we young, so we like, you crazy? You singing Ishaka had to listen to me. I love this music. I singing this, and they gave me to tell me that Byron Bruce was about 11 years old at the time. Shaka remember, and Ishaka had to listen. I singing a Jack Open, and every boy was like so shocked that this teenager know about Jack Open and want to sing it, and all at every rehearsal, every workshop, all the Shaka talking about is Jackie Opel. That's in 1999, you know, Jamal. All the Shaka talking about is Jackie Opel, John King. But John King a little less than Jackie Opel. All of these saying, no, you ain't gonna win nothing with that. Shaka push that for so.
Listen, I swear that year I sing a TLC and probably a Whitney Houston or some kind of ballads for sure. So Ishaka really was out on a limb with that Jackie Opel.
Ishaka was in a soca band.
I just want to jet here. I just want to say something to it.
Long times change, boy.
Glory and every stuff. I want to ask the CEO though. I'm going to ask you publicly that you take on the initiative, ma'am. And if you want ideas from me, I can share ideas with you. that we do something in his honor. If it's a musical, a national stage production in the honor of Jackie.
A movie, yeah.
A movie. Get the industry players to come on board. I think it's something that would garner well for Barbados and entertainment. I think we need to liaison with our Jamaican counterparts and have maybe actors and performers who may have an inkling of who he is and want to be a part of the process to merge some kind of Caribbean unity there as well in terms of performers coming together.
And he had Trinidadian connections too, in it.
Yes, his wife. Yes.
Ishaka.
Yes.
You're a theater arts practitioner, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes,
you're a Jackie Opel fan.
We should be sending a proposals, Ishaka.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem.
I'm sure you can be a scriptwriter.
That can be done.
Yeah, I saw it online.
I look forward to receiving it.
I saw they bone answering that online.
If there's any person who can play Jackie Opel, and I don't want to be biased or anything like that, But if you had to choose two persons to play Jack Gilbert, even in acting or television, it would have to be Blood or Edwin Yearwood. Reasons
You.
being,
So what about all the
reason.
actors that going you in BCC study to be an actor?
Um,
What about all the actors that
but hold
study
on,
to
hold
be
on, hold on.
actors?
You don't necessarily need an excellent actor. You need a singer. You need a
But
singer.
we have a musical theater program.
Sluggy,
Listen,
I
guys,
mean, please,
it's 9:30, and I want
I don't
to
want I
give
don't
back.
want to see the singers acting, man.
I
Me
want
They
to
could
give
play
neither.
the
the
floor
role
back to
By the way,
Jamal
I
so
just
that he
want to
can
throw
wrap
up
up
Joe
about the
Cloudy.
upcoming show that he's doing. So
Just,
feel
just
free to plug your show, Jamal.
this
go ahead,
weekend,
Jamal.
you will get by tomorrow. You'll get final details on the show. The full Raw is coming tomorrow. This weekend, we will be premiering uh, Eternal Love, the Jackie Opal tribute. It's going to be a spectacular, spectacular show. I mean, I am super excited from the visual look of it. I have to say a special thanks to the 11-piece band that is backing me is and the other artists led by Xavier Jean Claire. There's Melvin Alec, the Melvin Alec playing. There's German Waith. There is Damien Neblet, who also plays in Marshall Montano's band. Uh, we have a really good cast. We have Mylon Kweku and Justin Beard on the horn section. It is we spent so much time perfecting the music of
What
Jackie
about the
Opal.
vocalists?
But
Who are the vocalists?
so we do have background vocalists. I just have to plug the entire cast now. The reason why I want to plug the entire cast is because the amount of time that these guys spent to make this project possible, I labeled the compensation for these guys as an honorarium because it took such in-depth work to ensure that we got the harmonies right. Marlon Legault working with Rochelle Griffith, who is considered the background vocalist for any recording in Barbados now. Alicia Yarcolin and Jadon Knight there. But our front singers, we have Nikita, we have Betty B performing a powerful ballad. Chris
Wow.
Irie. We have a young Harsonian. Sean, you went Harson, did you?
Of course not.
Oh, we
Oh
have a
Lord,
young
no.
we just have a young
Where
Harsonian.
my boy up and now, Randy missing it.
I hear listening. I
But
hear
no,
listening. I listening attentively. I can throw me up and on shortly. I listen attentively.
really, just sent me a message saying, boy, she's a Harsonian." So just want to point out. But we have a young guy from Harrison College who we did a hip hop version to Jackie Opal's "No Good," which is really fresh. We wanted to play with the music, but not for it to lose its sentimental value. Chris Irie, as I said, Sir Richard Stout, Mr. Deal. The Shirley Stewart is performing on the show from the Escorts, as well as
I love
Carly
his
Cox.
voice. He's my
A
favorite
big one.
Bajan. Like that song he has,
Walk
Walk
Away
Away
from
from
Love.
Love is my
Yeah.
favorite Bajan song.
So we have
Wow.
Shirley
Favorite.
Stewart on the show as well.
Wow.
It is a show that will be certainly spectacular, and I really hope that the Barbadian public enjoys it. We're gonna
Yeah, you
have
can't wait to see it.
special interviews with persons like Red Plastic by Mikey Gabby, Mark Williams, and Shaka McNew sharing their perspective of the Jackie Opal story. Persons like Dr. Stefan Walker as well, who is truly for me the most in-depth person when it comes to dissecting Spoon's music and in terms of Barbadian music. It's going to be
True.
a 2-hour special that I know the Barbadian public will certainly enjoy. So
And
this
you're working
weekend,
with your
check it out,
friends that you're working with your TV production friends and our friends at Trident 10 to make sure that this will be properly
Yes.
documented and available on demand afterwards.
Definitely. So there are 2 teams that I'm working with. Nicholas King from Marnico Media, as well as Paul and Kim Tar from Trident 10. So it's a really awesome combination of industry players. When I counted, it was over 60 cultural practitioners in their entirety, both technical and performing, working with us on this production.
I
And
think that sums up the spirit within which we come together each week for this show in terms of how powerful the cultural and creative industries are, or the orange economy as they call it, is in terms of being able to create employment for so many people in one fell swoop, because you haven't even mentioned your technical people, the people that are building whatever backdrops you have. All of these people have a role to play in making sure that this thing is successful, and it really bodes well for us. I mean, I've been a strong advocate for years in saying, you know, intellectual property intensive industries or sectors are the way for us to go, especially where in, you know, the table only has one leg as it relates to tourism. So I want to say kudos to you, Jamal, and everyone involved in that production. I really hope that I'll be able to make it out, because the lineup is phenomenal, but just in the spirit of supporting
you will be able to make it out. Will you be able to make it out where?
Oh, it's just going to be live on. It's
it
just
was already
streaming?
recorded. It was pre-recorded, Crystal.
Oh, it was pre-recorded.
Yes, ma'am.
You see, I want to be outside so bad that in my mind I'm thinking this thing is happening at some venue.
Don't worry, Crystal. You get front row seats. You get front row seats right from your home. Don't worry, front row seats.
But that's even better, because we need to stay safe in this time, and certainly we still want to make sure our artists get that opportunity. So that's a win-win.
Yeah, so Jamal, quickly.
Special thanks to the NCF as well
for so we can see this on the road. We're going to be able to see this show on. We're going to be able to see this show on the road in the future. Are you hoping?
The intention is, I will be honest with you.
Yes.
The intention is to perform this show at four cultural or historical venues across Barbados.
I love that.
I have reached out to the BTMI, crossing my fingers. My thought is to do it in a live format now. We do one at Nicholas Abbey. We do one at Gun Hill Signal Station. We do one at Barbados Museum, and then we go far east, or what we call south, with what's the name of that place now? Foursquare Rum Distillery.
Okay.
In the amphitheater, just to give you that vibe to take the show on the road. But it's obviously still want to ensure that when we ask you guys to come out, that they're doing it with some level of compensation. So there's still cost factors to play in. It is not an easy job to take a show of that magnitude on the road.
If it's easy, it won't be good. If it was easy, it won't be any good, buddy.
Yeah.
When it's too easy, it don't be any good. You need to put your work to this. This ain't anything that we do easy. We put years and sweat and blood and tears into this. But I am extremely sure that you can be good. This can be funny road. BTM, I can't tell you no.
Great. Let me jump in here. Good job, Jamal. I really look forward to seeing and hearing the production. I want to go back to Ishaka a little bit, where we had a discussion about 1999 and the competition and stuff. And I remember shortly after that, Ishaka, you had a song called "Mediated."
Yeah.
Crystal mediate. You just Crystal mediate your.
You want to take that out of them lawyers' mouth?
Yes.
That song was written by the late great Jose Lamont, aka Sedan.
Yes.
Who was a mentor to me. I want to tell people, being in entertainment, it was a journey I have enjoyed over the years. I always tell people when they first met Sedan said, I ain't nobody easy here. I am nobody easy. You have to put in the work if you want to be successful. I tell myself, I accustomed to rehearsing and these kind of things. I remember one evening, Sedan picked me up from my mother's house in West Bay Road in New Orleans area. He said, well, we can go and we can learn the song this evening, and stuff like that. Sedan drive me all kind of places. He stopped in my car. He stopped this other place. He had a show this place.
That's Sedan.
And the only part of the song I sang was the first 3 lines. It was the first 3 lines. And all dancing, you have to get the phrasing right. Remember to I ain't nobody easy. I ain't nobody easy at all. I remember that. And from that evening, I said to myself, now this is what you have to do. You really got to put in the hard work. And I remember going to semifinals when Don wrote the song for me that year. I think, yeah, I went to semifinals, and then Don wrote for me. A couple of years after that, I went finals the next year. Then I went
Yeah.
finals again. You know, and I always tell people working with Sir Don was always a wonderful feeling. Don was a taskmaster when it came to the Kaiso art form, but from his teachings and the way he expressed himself in terms of the art form, excuse me, you were able to learn a whole lot. Um, I always tell people I remember before I even got into singing social commentary, I did like a pizza party song. I remember in 2001 I did a song called Stamp It Out. I went to Party Monarch Finals. In
All
2000,
Stars. All Stars.
it, it,
First year for All
yeah,
Stars. Cause that's the thing.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
first
yeah,
year for all
yeah,
stars.
yeah, yeah.
I remember in
You were there for all them,
2001,
yeah.
I was in class Kaiso comedy. I remember the Mighty Gabby after I won Teen Talent.
Yeah, because
Um,
All Stars was
uh,
a combination of Class Geisha and Conquerors
Kaiso
and
comedy.
Geisha for
Yeah,
Conquerors.
and
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
Gabby calling me and saying, "Come in for you, come in, you come in again, Queen's Park." And I remember Laugh It Off is running. I think that was in the early 2000. We had just done the concert, the Y2K concert, I call it in Bay Street. Character, you were the
Mm-hmm.
producer of that concert as
I
well.
did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I remember Gabby taking me to Ian Eswick, in Queen's Park. He said, "You see this young man here? This is a talent that we have to work with."
You're talking
Right?
too
I
fast. Gabby ain't talk so
sorry.
fast.
So he said to Ian Eswick, he said to Ian
It's
Eswick,
true.
"This
It's true.
No,
is
he
a
said
talent we have to."
Ian. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shaki went Ian. No, a little deeper, more octave deeper than that.
Listen to
Ian,
me.
listen to
to
me,
me.
right?
La,
Yeah.
la,
So true.
la,
So true.
I love that man. I love that man. Here, the man truly got a gift for Gab here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember in 2002, after singing in class, guys, so come and then All Stars. I got a call in 2002, and in Eswick said, are you ready to hit the stage? I said, "What stage?" I said just like that. He said, "Laugh It Off." I said, "Laugh It Off." You know, I was kind of bugged. I know you have people like Fufu, John Walker, you like Sylvander Smith, Peter Adams.
Glenda
I
Smith,
said,
boy.
I said, Dr. Hill. I remember when we went to the first meeting, I got said, "You ain't get to work with Fufu." But when they got there was no Fufu, and I was still, "Oh, okay, you're gonna try special, have to fill the shoes of this man." I like, "Oh,
Yeah.
everybody, like, you know, you're talking nonsense, you know." But eventually, you know, I kept on practicing my craft. I kept on learning, and learning is still happening all I know, because I tell people, when you're an entertainer, learning never stops. Learning never ever stops. Something new happens every day, and things are happening around me all the time. I learn them. So I always tell people, those journeys and those experiences help me to become who I am, and become the actor that I am, the performer that I am, and help me to maintain, you know, constant within the Barbadian public. Because there's some people who come, they go, you don't see them ever again. You know, and being constant is very important. I always tell people, if you want to remain constant, you got to put in the hard work. You got to put in the extra time. You got to enjoy the processes as well as put in the hard work. So, and that is
Yeah,
what I did.
at that time, also you were finishing up your theater arts at BCC as well.
CC, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
remember I was doing music while you were doing theater art.
There's
But
arts, right?
right, let me it's funny because the projects that Jamal working on and your involvement in theater, Carol said something when she first started, that in this environment we basically got to look for the silver lining during this whole pandemic, and that
Yeah.
basically it is here to stay. And I
Yeah,
always
correct.
say people keep talking about post COVID as though it was last week, but post COVID didn't come yet, you know.
Correct.
But yet you're hearing this post COVID thing brandish about. Um, so you said it was, you look for the silver lining, it's here to stay, and there's no going back. You also asked, what are we going to do, and suggested that the practitioners, they have the answers. So my question really is, if we do have the answers, and you see, 60 plus people benefiting from a COVID grant based on Jamal's project, and you saw the COVID project being um, assisting the Junior Soccer Monarch and some other things, other forms of entertainment that went on during this period. And so many practitioners are benefiting, basically confirming that we do have the answers to take this entertainment business forward. In terms of the future now, accessing this quick funding as opposed to the usual, we only meet once a month, and then it's going to probably take about 2-3 months before disbursement. And I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about this quick funding. I have an idea right now. I need an injection in about 2 weeks turnaround time, and I gone. And you can have
Well,
20 plus people eating.
let me stop you there because I really don't know of I have had no experience at the NCF of a 2 and 3 months wait or a meeting once every 2 months.
You
That's
you
not how we
also you,
operate.
al- you before you stop me, you also said that you would have been basically going based on your predecessors, and I'm not
Mhm.
speaking in your tenure. I'm talking about what would have come before, because
I
I do
can't
have.
comment on anything that went
Right.
before, and I
And I
won't.
understand that. So that's why I am saying it. I'm not asking you to say it. I ask you to comment on going forward after seeing the success that this COVID grant had, and also how engaged we are as entertainers. I'm asking you to comment on the longevity of that past 2020.
I can't comment on that because obviously we receive capitalization for that specific grant from the Ministry of Finance. So when those funds are gone, we will make a case to get more. But that is not our only um, stream of funding. There are other streams, as I would have said. Um, I also want to clarify that when I said you have the answers, not so much that you are the only people that have the answers, but you certainly should have the answers for yourself. Now,
Mm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
COVID-19 has forced us, government, NGOs, communities, individuals, parishes, artists, law enforcement officers, the education sector, to acknowledge a very startling fact. And it's a fact we need to take on board and begin to address urgently. The economic impact of COVID will result, if we do not stem it very carefully, in a very serious social impact. And Barbados is too small. None of us lives so far away that if we are in a gated community in St. Lucie, that something happening in Checker Hall in that same parish won't affect us. And so
True.
again, we have to look to see how the arts and culture will literally save people's lives, will take back communities, will assist vulnerable households, will uplift spirits, will engender that sense of national identity where you clearly understand what is the best of the Barbadian personality. So you know that you treat your fellow man a certain way. You know that you treat your environment a certain way. You know that you resolve conflict and disagreements in a certain way. Again, that is a major task for the arts and culture. And we need to see it as the responsibility of every single sector, and the creative sector needs to see itself as the facilitator, as the producer of what has to be done. I use an example of my own son every time I talk about why we have to rethink how we implement arts and culture in schools and sports,
Mm.
which is itself a part of culture. My son is only interested in one thing, and that's play cricket.
Cricket.
Play cricket. And so he goes to school, he goes to his classes because he has to. He will try for a little 50, a little 55 or 60, because he knows he lives in my house. And if he wants to continue living in my house, he got to bring home certain report cards. But he sits in
Yeah.
class every day and he dreams about cricket. Now, there are other children who are sitting in class every day and they're dreaming about music. They're hearing beats in their head. They're dreaming about writing. They're dreaming about making videos and they're dreaming about every painting and all the rest. But the system says you better got English and arithmetic, at least English and math. Better got them two at pass mark. And then you have to have others. You only really want to do music, but you gotta got 6 or 7 subjects by the time you get to fifth form. And I am saying that the technology as it exists today, exposes the children to so many other options that they become quite focused much earlier on in what they want to do. We as parents, and I fall victim to it all the time, even though I'm preaching it. You hear us saying, Jamal, like you don't know what you want to do. I ask you what you want to do, and Jamal, like you don't know what you want to do. He's just be home all the time on the phone, home all the time on the game. He's just be singing all the time, keeping noise in my house. Jamal is just scared to tell his parents that I want to sing. I want to make video games, that I want to, I want to go in my own business selling fruit or whatever. And until we close those gaps and address those realities in our education system, we are going to continue to fail a lot of young people. There are too many young people in schools who are made to stand outside the classroom because they're disruptive. And there are too many opportunities that these children are missing because when the opportunities arise, and this is not any indictment on teachers or anything, because I think teaching is the most noble profession there is.
Well,
This is just the reality. This is just reality that we live. You hear, all right, don't look at Crystal because she always keep enough noise. That's why she outside. But look at Sean and look at Randy. They're the bright ones. They do well. So give them another opportunity. When it is those same children that are outside, because there's something going on with them that is making them act out, that is making them keep silent, that is making them unresponsive or hyper responsive. Those are the children that the arts and culture can save. Can we save all? Probably not. But we need to try. They have stories. So we're either using culture and the arts as therapy to be able to get them to express what is hurting them and preventing them from being happy, and or we need to use arts and culture to get them to flourish and really thrive and make a living.
Yeah,
I fully agree with you, Carol, and I've been saying on this show many times over that culture is indeed an antidote, especially for those at-risk youth. I was fortunate to be in St. Lucia in March, just shy of the lockdown, and I was very heartened to meet a young lady there who was using virtual reality headsets to pull in those same, what you call those children that cause disturbances in schools. They send them to her, and she then allows them to learn in that environment where they're using the technology. So it just goes to show that the cultural sectors and creativity, a lot of times is seen as a hobby to a lot of people, but all of us on this show know and probably have stories that would take us way past the end time about how culture saved us in one way or the other, or pulled us back in one way or the other. And perhaps that could be the subject of another show, but we really have to wrap up because we're almost approaching the 2-hour mark. So I want to allow everyone to give their closing remarks. You can share maybe something about how culture has impacted you, or you can give your wrap-up comments in line with what we were discussing. But I really want to say at this point, we are very grateful to all those who tuned in on 94.7 FM, on Trident 10 TV, those who are on Randy's Facebook page watching us live. We want to thank you so much, especially our regulars who come every week. We really appreciate you, and we hope that you will continue to keep this 8 p.m. slot in your calendar to remind you to tune in every week to the Homegrown Roundtable. So let's go around the table now and get everyone's parting shots or last comments. Maybe we can start with you, Jamal.
I just want to thank you guys for inviting me first off to the program, the Homegrown Roundtable. I always see it pop up on my feed. Anything that Sluggy invites me to, Sluggy knows that I always come through because, especially, you know, promoting the Barbadian culture and promoting young people,
Yes.
that has always been his passion, and I fully support that. Um, for me, I think going forward, it is just to really ensure that we are on the right trajectory, especially post COVID-19, and even in the midst of COVID-19. I have a little bit of a concern that, and I think is beyond the NCF. I think it's a national discussion that needs to be had. When we look at where we are at, 6 months now. Um, some of our entertainers or cultural practitioners haven't been working, and the challenge is that those NIS benefits, unemployment benefits, are about to run out. So we now need to find new ways and creative ways to generate income. And I think the challenge is to really start stimulating that little bud, that little blossom in the mind of our creative practitioners, our cultural practitioners, to know, hey, this is the way to go. And 2 years ago, I had a conversation with Ilambe Motley, a very long conversation that he was calling for a period of time, and we were talking about this thing called cooperatives and clusters. And I think working together now is more important than ever. So that is why laud programs like these and initiatives like these that bring us together to work, moving forward as cultural practitioners. And I think the cooperative and cluster approach is certainly way forward. Then, as I just want to touch the education, I think is the way forward. We need to start looking back at the foundation, the rudiments that make us, that show our young people what's the direction, show us who we are, so that they understand, where we need to go, and they can then generate their own ideas. They could develop their own ideologies, their own concepts of where they want to see the country move forward. And finally, I think now the conversation has to be about exporting and promoting our cultural product. I am excited. I know people sometimes call me an upstart or even too big for my boots sometimes, but I am pleased to be a director of an organization called the Barbados Coalition of Service Industries. And I think as well, one thing going forward, we have to start looking at sectoral partnerships to be able to export our cultural product, so that we know that, hey, there is Chris Irie, there is Ria Lane, there's Steve Fung, there's so many cultural creative,
and the up and coming ones that we don't know about yet.
I mean, I a couple years ago, I worked with this young guy called Rico Maserati, and a few months later, he was the biggest hip hop artist that Barbados has ever seen, and I think he has so much potential. HTB Hot Boy, LR, Chief Din, these are artists right now that are trending, but we need to be able to export that talent. It's not only the music, it is those the gaming, it is those who are into fashion design. There's so many areas that we can touch, but it's not a one-man show. It's not the NCF only. It is not the ministry. It's not the government. It's not BCSI alone. It's an approach that has to happen. Back to what I said: clustering, cooperatives.
Eternal Love, is it called?
Yes, Eternal.
Yes, Eternal Love, a tribute to Jackie Opel. Shaka.
Yes, excuse me. Just really want to thank you all for having me on the show tonight.
Love is
Some
like
wonderful I don't
Let him
know.
man
Some
speak,
girls laughing at
Crystal.
me.
Let him man speak.
Um,
I'm a happy man.
so wonderful things came out tonight.
You know
So
my
We're
ears
gonna
are
put we're gonna put you outside the room by the door.
you know how my ears spent outside crying. Let me laugh here.
um, um, as I was saying before, I really enjoyed the show today. Some wonderful points came out. I really want to touch on the educational point before I leave tonight. I think one of the fundamental things we need to do in Barbados is always document for future reference. I think that's one of the things that we lost before, and I really want to commend the NCF on trying to keep stuff and gather information so that there's the stuff to reference the in previous activities which were held, whether it be the Park finals, whether it be Party Monarch finals, these things, even plays that were done for Carried Festa, all these different things. It's good to document. It's good to have information for persons to garner information from, and even for in the primary schools and secondary school for young people to understand what beauty Barbados holds in terms of culture. There's so many beautiful things that people very talented people, and it is good to document. So I look forward to seeing those things happen and the curriculums changing, that it garners interest in terms of culture, in terms of understanding our heritage, in terms of understanding our food, our fashion, all these different things. So I look forward to that. I really want to say kudos to Jamal. I was a bit taken back first when they heard about the show. I said I really hope Jamal really did his research, but knowing how you are, I said, you know what, I will listen out and hear how it goes, but I wish you all the best in the show. I'm a lover of Jackie, but thank you for asking me to be a part of the process in terms of giving my background and giving how I feel about speech music. I really want to thank you for that. I really want to thank the host of Homegrown Roundtable. I really want to thank you so much for having me on the show. I look forward to doing some more stuff. And CEO, I will certainly consider send that proposal to you, um, Carol. I put a hand into your name, please.
Okay.
Carol, I look forward to send that proposal to you.
I almost said call you. I almost said call me what you call me when I'm not here, but I don't think I can chance that.
Oh Lord, that made me only laugh it off stage.
So you got our ears itching now. We want to know what it is.
I would never sit in this board.
No.
I would never sit this board. But I would look forward to sending that proposal to you with reference
Please
to that
do.
track.
Please do.
Yeah, I have some ideas that I really want to share to get that process happening. But thank you so much for having me. It's been a wonderful evening.
Well, Aishaka, we know you have it in you, so we support you 1,000%, and we are very happy to have had you on the show. Carol, do you want to jump in here and give your final comments? You've shared such wonderful information about all the great work that's being done at the NCF, and we want to thank you for obliging us for sure for being on the show.
I always end programs one of two ways. I'll probably do both tonight. And that's to thank the staff at the NCF. The NCF doesn't have a large complement of staff. We have under 65 staff members producing all those festivals, all those events, and doing all of those work.
You should have one more person.
And
a little bit.
if you know of one more person, send them. And all of the success of the NCF is really due to them. CEOs come and go. They bring a vision and they bring a certain management style and way of doing things. But it's the staff who are there year after year after year doing the execution who really contribute most to the success of the NCF. Quickly touch on a point that Jamal made about clusters and cooperatives. Yes, we do that. We do it primarily in gaming and in fashion through Basida, and that work will continue.
Mm-hmm.
I want to commend the producers of this program, Sluggy, you, Crystal, Randy, and Sean, that I haven't seen in a while. It is programs like this with meaningful discussion where you don't have to agree, you just have to be respectful and state your point that will see us through COVID, that will help institutions like the NCF to get its information and news across. So I want to thank you very much for coming, for inviting me and behaving like the interviewer. Thank you very much for coming. I want to thank you very much for inviting me. And I would want to end by encouraging everybody listening and watching to see themselves as a creative. You don't have to be at the stage where you can live off of your big ideas and whatever, but see yourself as part of the culture. Choose all of the positive aspects of Barbadian culture and live it every day. The way how we speak to each other, the way how we treat each other, the way how we look after the most vulnerable in our society, the way how we bring along our young people. You mentioned David Weatherhead this evening. Every single young musician in Barbados needs to know the Weatherhead story, the Branker
Yes.
story, the Tappin story, the Andrew Lynch story, the Christopher Avenue
Mm-hmm.
story, the
Mm.
Mickey D story. There's so many stories, and across all disciplines. I choose music because I'm looking at musicians, but visual arts, it's the same thing. You know, the Edmund Gill story, Irika Jelani story, Rasa Kem. There's so many shoulders on which you stand, on which we stand, and all of our successes must be as a result of and in tribute to the people who came before us and paved the way. So I want us all just to be the best Barbadian that we can be. That is how our culture will thrive.
That is
Right.
very, very well said. I don't know if my
And next
co-hosts
time,
have anything to add.
I was gonna say next time you come, Carol, we can discuss the Nelson what do you want to call it, dilemma, conundrum.
It's not a dilemma. It is just a situation. That's how democratic. This is how democratic societies deal
Correct.
with their issues.
Correct.
So whenever you're ready to discuss Nelson and Black Lives Matter, I am ready.
Right.
I hope you're
Good,
not ready
good,
for
Awesome.
my views, but I am
good.
ready.
Lucky Randy.
I remember being young and telling parental story about Alfred Pragnell and Carl Roberts. Like, and this is in real life. Like Patrick Gollop, Alfred Pragnell, Carl Roberts, two people that when they hear them on radio used to be so amazed. So still having these conversations, and you all speak about me smiling all night. Still having these conversations is surreal because it was one of those youngsters in the street, mother in jail, father hustling. It was one of those children for real. You know what I mean? So I was one of those people that music saved me. For enough far used to keep me at school to 8 o'clock in the night, make sure you don't get in trouble, and then make sure you take me home. And he used to be telling his stories about these people that I love to hear on radio. So I was one of these people that culture and music really saved my life. So I know how important it is.
Beautiful.
I know how important it is for what we're doing, and hopefully it will change somebody else's life. So I really appreciate person like yourself taking the time out to speak to people like me, and that is real talk.
Sweet.
I
My honor,
agree.
Sluggy. My
I
honor as
agree.
usual. You're hard ears, but you're sweet.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true.
They got to love you. You got a choice but to love you.
Like,
Gotta
Ryan, to
love
be
you
honest,
back.
it's the truth.
You got a choice. I also wanted to thank everyone for their contribution and actually taking the time out of your busy schedules. Everyone here I've known for most of my career as well. It was hard for me not to say Auntie Carol tonight because I knew see
Yeah,
Auntie Carol
boy.
from a little
Yeah,
boy.
boy.
Okay,
She's not your
Yeah.
Auntie Carol
no,
because
she's
she's
not.
not 40 yet.
Oh, that's true. Sorry.
Correct.
Very, very
It's
true.
true.
It
It's very
really
true, Crystal.
it really was an honor when I heard that you accepted the invitation to join us. We were really excited in our little chat. So what for real though? We gotta make sure we got this down pat. We gotta make sure it's tight. It really is an honor to have you here.
Thank
Ishaka
you.
McNeil,
It's my pleasure. I hold the
my
bullet.
comrade, my cadet
Yes.
comrade, Jamal Slocum, a young man
Yeah.
who I saw in Junior Monarch, well playing in Junior Monarch band, who
Brilliance.
has developed
Brilliance.
to be
Brilliance.
thank you, Sluggy, to be a
Yeah.
fantastic vocalist. And to my co-host, Crystal Austin, Sean Lane, Sluggy, it is always a pleasure. Thank you to Crystal for coming on board and even building out the platform even more. And I look forward to
Yeah.
even more great conversation. And in terms of what we discussed tonight, I think education is one of the key components to move forward with our culture. We need to
Mhm.
really educate the youth. We need to educate Barbados. And Carol mentioned we lack documentation of our history, our culture. And the culture really is the
Mm-hmm.
voice of the people. And if we fail to document that, a lot of stories, a lot of word song and stuff will be lost because we have a culture of vocal traditions, oral traditions which are passed on. And if you don't document that, we're going to lose a lot of our history, we're going to lose a lot of heritage, and most importantly, our culture. So that's my wrap up. Crystal, over to you, madam.
Yes, I am not madam. I am not 40 yet.
Sorry.
Sean first, and then Crystal.
Right. This is an interesting panel because she's on. I worked with Jamal. I worked with Jamal recording a Sluggy Dan written song. I remember first working with Trade Pride. I remember first working at Ishaka. It was at Nifka. We were doing a spooge medley. I was in that band. That was what 2001, 2002. Yes.
Darius Bailey, Lori Worrell.
Yeah.
We do a spooge medley for Nifka. We do Jackie Opel. We did Rupee and spooge. It was about 4 different growing up watching. I think hear me growing up, right? Watching. Carol can laugh at this when I say weird. Watching Carol on CBC. Martin Barbies.
That's not that long ago.
Exactly.
That's not that long ago.
Exactly.
Lord of mercy.
But that's how I knew Carol, and then on radio with fireworks, man, because I used to look forward to fireworks. And that was some interesting discussions. Then.
Is hot.
Yeah, boy.
Because I would have done that theme song. I would have done that theme song for fireworks as well. No, this is the one with the fireworks and stuff and the saxophone. Yeah. Romaro Graves was playing saxophone.
Correct.
Yeah,
2012.
Yes.
That was 2012.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
You're correct.
But this is an interesting panel. And the host, man, y'all every week have some interesting points to the discussion and take it some places, man.
Are you understand? He talking like he's a guest.
I surprised.
Got me so excellent.
I surprised that we managed to get this with just over 2 hours. I remember the first week or two, we was like 5-6 hours.
5-6 hours.
In discussion.
Somebody messaged me last week. Wait, 2 hours. I wanted that. What happened?
Yeah. So it's been more refined and tailored, and we try to bring exciting guests every week, and this week was very informative from the head, I won't say head of culture, but I don't think that's a good thing to say. However, we know that the foot soldiers, the ones that turn the wheels and get things happening, and those facilitators that basically implement the policy made, that's the real movers and drivers of what happens culturally, and a big kudos to NCF in that regard. But that's my wrap up, really. Crystal, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you, everyone. Again, we want to hail up Trident 10 TV for giving us that airtime. We want to say thank you to Admiral Nelson and the CBC family for allowing us to carry our show live on 94.7 FM. And again, to all of those who are on Facebook, I saw Gilbert Rowe put in his definition of culture. And I want to close by saying that we are yours in culture. Thank you for tuning in to the Homegrown Roundtable. I'm Crystal Austin, and very, very honored to be a part of this debate panel. Good night, everyone, and blessings.
Bye-bye.
Manners.
Bye-bye.